BlockShow Asia in Singapore. Dominating the stage, you're one of the top investors. What have you seen so far in the show that you would consider a key takeaway for yourself and that you saw and you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that I've always sort of had in the back of my mind, and I think this show has really kind of confirmed it, is that the crypto world is actually geographically divided. You know, that there's sort of the US, somewhat regulated, Silicon Valley-based world of blockchain and crypto. And then there's sort of the Asia version, which has less regulation. I think it's quite vibrant as well.
Right.
And I think you see this. It's actually come through several of the panels.
Right. It seems like Singapore is this huge area to descend on for anything blockchain and crypto. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think Singapore is one of them. South Korea is really important. Japan, right. And obviously China eventually will become very important.
I'm curious about China and its importance when they want to keep their economic stance well within their confine.
Yeah.
And not allowing others to play well with the RBG. I'm wondering if that's really going to stifle the situation inside China with crypto. The adoption, I'm concerned about that a little.
Yeah, frankly. It's always tricky, right? Because China is essentially a command, centralized economy. Really, model actually works quite well for China.
Yeah, exactly.
But part of that is capital controls, and also I think a real interest, especially when you look at China's future plans, 2025 and the Belt Project, is the idea of gaining technological dominance. But that includes blockchain. So I think China is obviously going to be a major player.
Okay. And is that because of their domination in the machining, the computing, and the ability to do that, or just that they have the people?
I think China just has incredibly talented people.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
That's
think
really
about the history of global developments. China's been at the front end of a lot of that.
Absolutely. Risk and all.
Yeah.
They take it right on the chin and keep moving.
Yeah.
That's very true. How do you feel about STOs?
I think it's a really good use case for digital assets.
Okay.
Because it really does truly help with sort of the idea of trust, that you don't have to use a single intermediary, that you can actually get that trust on the blockchain. And I think we've already seen some successful STOs already. It may be more traditional financial assets or native digital, but of course that's going to be a good bridge into the traditional capturing asset flows and ultimately help crypto become an asset class.
Okay. What's exciting you right now in the world of blockchain? If I'm a startup and I have blockchain like solutions or blockchain as a solution, what would excite you to knock on your door?
Well, it's hard because we're in the earliest stages, right? There's only 50 million at most crypto wallets out there, or even crypto users, and there's 5 billion Visa cards, right? So we know that there's more than 1,000x or coming, or 100x. So what excites me today is things that are doing quite well, which are the exchanges. Exchanges are making incredible amounts of money. I mean, it's, two of the most profitable crypto exchanges would be two of the 5 most profitable global exchanges. Binance makes more money than NASDAQ. And then I think that some of these stablecoin projects have been really big successes. I mean, Tether, I think, has been a very successful project.
Even with the controversy surrounding it and the, I would say, quote unquote, lack of transparency, as I hear from other folks, you don't find that so much of a challenge?
Well, here's something to keep in mind. So Tether is technically supposed to be anchored to the dollar. So it should trade, roughly at parity. And it hasn't always. But if you look at a traditional equity and you said, hey, here's a company with no audited financials, it would be trading at zero.
Right.
And Tether has actually stayed pretty close to the dollar. So I think it's a very successful project.
So regulations. What do you think about the regulations, the forthcoming regulations in the United States within the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah. Now, I covered the telecom industry for close to 20 years, and that's an industry that regulation is actually a single area of focus because it's a highly regulated industry. And of course, I worked in the research and banking industry, which of course is highly regulated. It's hard.
Fun times.
Yeah. You can't fight regulators.
Not at all.
Yeah. So I think crypto, if they're going to target U.S. investors, have to really start to accept the idea that U.S. regulations will start to play a role in the crypto market.
So do you, as a point of advice, should blockchain crypto folks look to band together more in the lobbying world?
Yes. Self-regulation is probably the preferred method for most U.S. regulations. They rather have an industry body that's self-regulated. And I think companies who are selling STOs or things that look like securities should, actually approach the SEC. I actually think very few ICOs have actually approached the SEC.
And to their disadvantage.
Correct.
I've heard time and time again, even from, that they are looking to work with companies. They are looking to understand.
Yes, that's right. I think the SEC probably, and just like other regulators, they don't really want to tell you what you can do. They just want to be able to create rules to tell you what not to do. And so, of course, I think working with regulators will help sort of create what's clearly a gray line versus what you should avoid and what you shouldn't do.
A lot of gray in this area. On to Bitcoin. What do you think their scaling problem is?
Well, this is one of those examples of where technology can't do everything, right? Because if you're going to decentralize, you are having a natural trade-off with speed. So I think Bitcoin can scale, but it would be at the sacrifice of the level of centralization, or you have to use side chains. I'm pretty confident Bitcoin will be one of the projects that's still around in a decade.
I think so too.
Because it's either evolved as a reserve currency or it's evolved fully as a store value for folks.
All right. Would you love to leave a few parting words of advice for the BlockShow and Cointelegraph community in regards to investing over the next 6 months?
Yes, my advice would be, number one, nobody's time frame should be 6 months.
Fair enough.
Because even in the equity world, we consider 1 year short term. And our clients, and we have clients in 16 countries, over 150, always ask us what we think is going to happen the next month, and we're like, that is something a computer can do, like our quant system, but when it comes to human judgment and really understanding regime change and things that we focus on, the minimum time frame is more like a year. But I think in the crypto market, people should have 5-year time frames.
Okay. One last question. Are you heavily involved with companies with AI, machine learning, and blockchain to solve any big world problems? And use the term big world problems.
Yeah.
Very, very generic cancer.
So I would say, I think blockchain is an AI are natural fits, right? I think to me it's a no-brainer that part of the excitement of blockchain is the idea of machine learning and AI and using blockchain either to, to create unique and verifiable records or, to create trust. It's a perfect use case. So I'm a huge believer that there's 3 major trends, driving sort of markets over the next 20 years. One is going to be millennials. The second is AI.
Okay.
But then there's this whole idea of automation, and there is a huge worker shortage that's actually developing. It's one of our big themes, and I think blockchain really solves that. I think blockchain is productivity.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time and sitting down with me.
Yeah, nice chatting with you.
Hey, same here.
Thanks.